Welcome to part 2 of the BLIGHTER progress video. If you have not watched the original one, then I would highly suggest you choose that one so you know where you're up to date. Without further ado, let's actually go into what we'll be doing for this video. I'll actually take this quick segment to explain what I'll be doing in my videos. So obviously the first 3 will be, the land ones, me building up the area, but part 4 will be all the minor things like pathways, trees, and all that stuff you see in between all the locations. Part 5, I'm planning to do the mechanics video, where I focus on the mechanics of all the, of it being a survival game. And then maybe part 6, if I get enough comments about it, then I'll do all the recommendations about it. But enough of me talking, this is our first location we'll be working on, the Iron Mines. Which obviously you can see here I'm using stone to build out the walls and tunnels of which you'll be able to explore. And I also added multiple entrances so you can come in from whatever side you choose to like. As you can see in these next few clips, I'm completing the outside of it so it doesn't just look like some weird stone plateau and it looks like an actual fixed mountain. And after completing the inside, patching up any holes of outer light, then I'm able to start progress on the inside, of which I utilize a sky dome so I can get a shadow, dark and light to make it better. And obviously you can see it worked out very well, except I'll need to put some lights around the cave so I can actually see what I'm doing. I get rid of these lights though because they're way too damn bright. So I decided to build the inside by making all the wooded scaffolding that I need to, because I feel like that's appropriate for the mine, as well as using any decorative rocks as well. Wouldn't be a mine without any lights now, would it? Now putting the filter back over the thing with all the lights attached, you can see it's now looking a lot more authentic, like an actual mine should look. But it needs more. So, I added more decor from the city farms and that, as well as some custom decor that will be customary to this mine as well. So, after placing a few signs and making the liver area for the miners, I'm able to work on the next thing, the nature, which, as you can see in these clips, I'm using greenery, trees, vines, and bushes, because I thought that would be appropriate. But you'll see that I got rid of this because I thought it doesn't make much sense for trees to be growing in darkness, so I opted for the vibing plants, which are bioluminescent, meaning they glow in the dark, as well as the different mushrooms. You can also see in the lower levels of the cave, I decided to add some water, because I thought it would give a nice little reflection of the light that all these plants would be producing, as well as the ones I added. And as we can see, it looks a lot more better than the simple green and trees could ever do. I'm glad I made this decision with the pulsating lights as well. Especially this lower area where you can see all the water reflecting off the light as well, which has a very nice effect. But now with that completed, we'll be able to move on to our next area, the fishing village. Or as I called it, the Great Fishing Village, even though it'll all be rusty, scrap, wooden and that. So I put some basic wooden platforms all across the water, and just in case you're wondering what all this green is, they're mutator zones that are designed so when you go into the water you move slow, kind of like a bog or walking in the mud would do, which, great idea. I also opted to segment every piece of pathway I could put down so I can connect them all with wooden pieces like this. And afterwards completing all this, I also do the same thing with all the houses so I can connect them up the same way. Speaking of houses, I designed a few houses and decided to put them in the village once I was satisfied with their design, which was easier said than done, noticing I could segment them all far from the path. So repeating this process numerous times, I designed more houses and placed them inside. Before long, I was satisfied with the outcome that I could really go with. I did also add some houses that you can explore, obviously for memories uses purpose, because this is going to be a huge map. So now taking a wide pan shot of the area here, we can really see how it's coming all together. I also added some more houses post and after this scene, which you will notice. I also added some rudimentary walls around this place as well to fit in with the wooden theme, and added a gate on numerous sides, which adds different variety of entrances you can take into this place due to it being pretty big. So now we can see the place is really coming together. However, we still need to put all the props and decorate all the insides of the home as well, since everything needs to be explorable. And after putting down different props I thought were suitable to this place, you can also observe the fact that I added lights across the path as well, which I really enjoyed with the feel of it. I also added extra flicker to them. And to fill in the gaps between houses, I put planks in that to connect them all as well, which also worked out really well in my favor as well. But I noticed this fishing village didn't really have so much, fishing aspects to it, so I built some skeletons, placed it around town, designed some small docks, and also put them around town. And I also put some fishing decor as well, such as fishing barrels, or perhaps even some anchors around it too, and even some crab boxes I put around the pathways. As well as putting some netting across the roofs and walls as well. Now as you see as we walk around this place, it looks a lot more lived in, a lot more detailed now. I really like the look of all the nets. I think that was a really good job on my part. That's right, I've been giving myself a pat on the back. In case you're wondering, yes, you can also fish here if you want, which I'll also be adding into my survival mechanic. Here's a walk through the town as well, without the glow in the water as well, just in case you're wondering. Overall, I'm very satisfied with how this came out. This is probably competing even the city of how well this came out. Definitely the place I would choose to explore. Yikes, that was some weird corrupted footage there. Anyways, on to the next area. This is obviously just one of the farmlands which we've seen before, so I won't go too much into detail into it. But instead of a windmill, I decided to build a farmhouse, which is mostly used as a storage shed. But there is a room in there with a bed and table there, just in case you want to feel cozy in this place. I also wanted to implement a way to get to the roof as well, so after putting a piece up there, managing to attach the stairs up to it, I eventually put a few crates and logs up there just to make it feel a lot more detailed. Also, like the other farm we made, I also put a fence with occasionally broken up pieces as well, just to make it feel a lot more lived in with all the lights and other decor I put around as well. Obviously I made this field a bit bigger due to the much bigger building inside of it as well. I also added scarecrows. But unfortunately we have to end this video on a very boring note, the graveyard. Which, as much as I try to make it detailed and, make it aesthetic to the area, adding as much detail as I can and unique ideas, it's still just a barren patch of land with graves. Then again, that's kind of what a graveyard is, isn't it? So, along the pathway, I did try to spice it up by adding a few lights I see everywhere else, since it did a good effect, which, yeah, it did make it look better, but I wanted to make it more ominous, so I added more, fog clouds and that. So, but it still wasn't good enough, so I decided to add a big building. So, I designed a mausoleum and put it inside the graveyard to try and see how it would look with decorations on it. But still after that, it kind of seemed out of place. It wasn't that interesting, so if you want to take a stroll through this graveyard, be my guest. But it's not the best location you should go to. But other than that, that's the end of the video. Make sure to watch the next part if it comes out, and leave any comments if you have any ideas.